Today, we want to look at a question that I get asked a lot, and it's basically, what is the deal with tutoring? Should I get tutoring for my child? And the short answer is that if you're someone who budget is tight and you're happy to spend time with your own child doing some work, then do that, But if you're short of time and if, you've got plenty of free cash flow and if you want tutoring for your child, then it's fantastic. It's hard to beat tutoring in terms of the impact it can have for your child. Now, a bit of a disclaimer is that I actually run a tutoring business. It's called Big Improvements Tutoring and it's in Canberra. Now, I get you don't live in my city, so, there's no real incentive for me to promote myself there, but I'm telling you that because I do know what I'm talking about with this. And the first thing to ask yourself is, do you want a private tutor or do you want to be part of a group or a company? And there are pros and cons. The benefits of a private tutor is they will be cheaper. The downside of a private tutor is if they move away, your child then is left without anyone. Or if a private tutor gets sick or goes away, well, tutoring doesn't happen. That's a real downside. Now, if you're doing tutoring through a company, the downsides are it's going to be more expensive and you need to make sure they're not just treating your child like a number. So here's what to look for when you first phone up. When you first phone up, you need to be checking that they've got enthusiasm in their voice and maybe a bit of excitement. They're happy to talk with you, because that same level of passion is what your child is going to experience, chances are. So listen for enthusiasm and also listen for kindness. The person you call up, they should be asking you questions about exactly what your child needs. Not trying to sell you stuff, not trying to promote themselves, not trying to tell you what they offer, but actually asking what your child needs. Now, if they're a private tutor and you phone them up, then it's a good idea, if they don't answer, to leave a voice message and wait for them to get back to you. Because if they don't get back to you, then you've just seen for yourself that they're not reliable. So don't chase them. If they don't get back to you, do not chase them. Just move on to the next possibility. Don't be intimidated by a lack of qualifications. If they've got experience and if they've got the right heart for tutoring, then that's a good thing, not a bad thing. There's a lot of young people who are, say, 20, 25, who are just exceptional tutors who don't have a degree or anything, but who are just exceptional. Now, how often should your child have tutoring? I would recommend once a week for about an hour. Some people will try to tell you that, come to us and we'll tutor your child twice a week. I don't agree with that because it's not going to give your child double the impact to go twice a week. And it's going to mean that on 2 afternoons a week, your child's then not playing football and not doing art and not doing the things that make them feel good about themselves. So I think that you probably get about 1.4, 1.5 times the impact for doing tutoring twice a week. And I would recommend once a week because I think as long as you're doing a bit of other stuff at home, that is plenty. The right tutoring place will be super welcoming and they will greet your child with a great big smile, and the feeling and the atmosphere of the place should be very inviting. Now, they should be focused on developing skills in your child, not just on getting assignments done well. So don't be looking for somewhere that's all about improving your child's marks. Be looking for something that's improving your child's skills, because if your child's skills improve, then the marks will follow. Now, what to avoid? You want to avoid somewhere where your child is in a group, basically, because that's not the sort of tutoring a child with dyslexia really needs. There are lots of places that work with kids in groups of 4 or 6 or 8. I just wouldn't recommend that personally for a child who has some form of dyslexia. I would be more inclined to recommend 1-on-1 or 1-to-2. Now, you'd think that 1-to-2 would be less attention for your child, but what we've found at Big Improvements Tutoring is it actually works like a charm, because 1-on-one's actually quite intimidating, particularly if you're a young child. It's 1-on-one's great if you're in year 11 or 12, but if you're a young child, 1-on-1, every time you're writing, there's someone staring at you. Every time you're trying to do the work, you feel stared at, whereas 1-to-2 can be social, and it just takes that sort of edge off for the child, which is positive. So yeah, I would recommend 1-to-1 or 1-to-2, and to avoid programs that have more than 2 kids per tutor is my recommendation. Also, avoid any program that's computer-based. That's just not what most kids with dyslexia need. They need people. They don't need to be stuck on a computer. Avoid somewhere where your child is doing lots of worksheets, because a child with dyslexia doesn't need more worksheets in their life. Worksheets are great for keeping kids busy and for making profit for businesses, and worksheets are great if your child is already an A student or a high B student, you're trying to push them to that next level. But for someone with dyslexia, especially someone who's struggling at school, they really need to be doing hands-on activities, and it should be really a flexible thing. And so avoid somewhere that's worksheet based. I'd also avoid something that is all about assessing your child's skills and then putting them into some pre-existing program. That's not really what a child with dyslexia needs, because those programs are built for kids who don't have dyslexia. So you get a lot more flexibility if someone's sort of having a look at what your child needs and then creating something for them rather than just sticking your child into something that already exists. Something else to avoid is avoid having your child do tutoring on school holidays. Now, a lot of us as parents, we think, oh, that would be really efficient. You know, my child on the holidays, they can learn more and whatever. The truth is that if you let kids have a break on the holidays, they are more enthusiastic back when term time's on. So I would highly recommend giving your child a break from tutoring on the holidays. That stuff is my opinion. It's my opinion based on what I've seen work and not work for the last 4 or 5 years that I've been doing tutoring with Big Improvements Tutoring. I really recommend highly tutoring for kids who have dyslexia, as long as it's the right tutoring for the sort of kid who has dyslexia. And keep in mind that everything I've just expressed is opinion, not fact, because you know your child. I don't know your child like you do, and you need to make choices that are right for your child, not just for kids in general.